If you cannot afford a therapist, don't worry. I'm going to explain you in a simpler and better way than a therapist that you could pay $20K an hour what trauma is and how to break it. Okay, so we can all agree that trauma was created through a challenging situation in the past. Now, can we go back to the past to fix that challenging situation so you don't have trauma anymore? No, because we cannot go to the past. Now, if we cannot go to the past and trauma is not in the past, where does trauma come up? Trauma only comes up in the present moment when you get triggered. So the only way to work with trauma is in the present moment. Now, step 2, what is trauma and what do we experience it as? Trauma can only be 3 things. It can come up as thoughts, emotions, or bodily sensations. The category of thoughts include visualization, images, pictures, thoughts. The category of emotion, pretty easy, right? Anxiety, fear, panic, etc. The category of bodily sensation, shaking, twitching, any bodily sensation. Easy example. Let's say in the past, the trauma was developed by you being bullied in school very harshly. Every time you stood in front of the class, they made fun in a crazy way about you. And you were sweating and it was so traumatic. Now, as a grown-up, the little child that was traumatized, that was bullied, is still in you. And every time you have to do a presentation at work, or if you want to be a public speaker, there's anxiety coming up, there's sweat coming up, there's thoughts of not being good enough. So trauma, again, is not this mystical, unexplainable thing. It's literally only made up in the present moment of 3 things: thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations. And the brain, your best friend, brings trauma up as a defense mechanism to show you, hey, we're in a similar situation again, danger, danger. Now, your brain takes orders from you, not you take it from the trauma, you take it from the brain. It takes order from you and it looks at what orders you give by your reaction to it. Here's the funny part that almost no therapist understands. Letting go of trauma is about 2 things: activity and inactivity. You want to make trauma inactive by showing the brain that it's not something that's relevant anymore. The way to do that is to understand the language of the brain, which is behavior. It's behavior inside of your head and outside of your head. Now, the trigger for the trauma can come inside or outside of your head through an experience, or maybe there's a thought coming in and you are reacting. The way the brain gets you to react is with uncomfortable feelings and thoughts and sensations. That's why it's so challenging for people to let go of the trauma, because they're trying to fix those feelings. That's why you can never grow with self-help unless you practice to be okay with uncomfortable emotions, thoughts, and sensations. So remember, trauma comes up in form of thoughts, emotions, and uncomfortable sensations, right? Now, if you spend time and energy on it to try to fix it, to try to repair it, to try to make it feel better, you are telling the brain that that trauma is still relevant. You showing your brain that with your focus and your time spent. Now, what you want to do is to show your brain that it's not relevant anymore by being okay with the uncomfortable feelings and focusing mindfully on valued actions. You are shifting from being reactive to the trauma to being proactively acting on valued actions mindfully. Mindfully is so important here because even if you're acting on valued actions, but you're still spending time in your head on the trauma, you're still feeding the trauma. That's why you want to bring your focus only in the present moment on the actions. This doesn't mean that your brain stops immediately to give you trauma responses, because it's like, no, what are you doing? You're neglecting this dangerous thing. Let me give you more uncomfortable thoughts and emotions. This is why letting go of trauma is a practice. And by you taking back that power, taking back that time, taking back that territory, over time, you're becoming more emotionally fit because you're being a space for those emotions, and you build more mental focus because you're directing your focus proactively on the valued actions. Your behavior acting on valued actions and not on the trauma responses shows the little child in you over time that you are safe. Because why would you be safe if you're constantly trying to protect yourself from danger? The reason why I understand this process so well is because I practically let go of trauma patterns. And most therapists only regurgitate the information they learn in school. But remember this, how can you be a good tennis coach or basketball coach if you read every book on tennis and basketball, but you never played tennis or basketball? So you're welcome. This is now $20,000. So who's gonna pay me? All right, you guys have a good day.